What if everything we've been told about beauty is incomplete? What if the qualities that leave the deepest impression have nothing to do with appearance? Think about the people you've admired most in your life. Chances are, you don't remember the brand of clothes they wore or the perfection of their features. You remember how they made others feel. Real beauty isn't something you wear. It's something you practice every single day. Today, we're going to explore 7 habits that create a kind of beauty that never fades, a beauty that earns respect, builds trust, and leaves a lasting legacy. There's a question that almost every person asks at some point in life. Even if they never say it out loud, am I enough? It's a quiet question, but it has the power to shape every decision we make. It influences the relationships we choose, the opportunities we accept, and even the way we see ourselves when we look in the mirror. Many people spend years searching for an answer in the wrong places. They look for it in compliments, social media likes, expensive clothes, successful careers, or the approval of others. For a brief moment, those things may make them feel valuable, but the feeling never lasts. Why? Because anything that comes from the outside can also be taken away from the outside. Real confidence is different. It doesn't depend on applause. It doesn't disappear when someone criticizes you. It doesn't rise when people praise you or fall when they ignore you. True confidence comes from something much deeper. It comes from knowing exactly who you are and refusing to let the world define your value. Think about the strongest people you've ever met. Chances are they weren't trying to prove anything. They didn't need to be the loudest voice in the room. They didn't constantly seek attention or compete for recognition. There was simply a quiet strength about them. They carried themselves with dignity because they had already settled one important question within themselves. They knew their worth before anyone else had the chance to assign one to them. The problem with seeking validation is that it places your happiness in someone else's hands. If someone compliments you, you feel confident. If they criticize you, you begin to doubt yourself. If people notice you, you're happy. If they overlook you, you wonder whether you're good enough. That kind of life becomes an emotional roller coaster controlled by people who may not even know your story. Imagine living every day like a ship without an anchor. Every opinion becomes a wave that pushes you in a different direction. One day you're confident because someone admired you. The next day you're discouraged because someone else rejected you. When your identity depends on other people, you never truly experience peace because you're dead, constantly waiting for permission to feel valuable. But here's what remarkable people understand. Your value was never created by someone else's opinion. Other people can recognize your worth, but they cannot create it. Just because someone fails to appreciate your value doesn't mean your value has disappeared. A diamond remains valuable even if someone mistakes it for an ordinary stone. Its worth doesn't change because someone failed to recognize it. Knowing your worth doesn't mean believing you're better than everyone else. That's arrogance, and arrogance is usually just insecurity wearing a mask. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't seek constant reassurance. It doesn't compare itself to others because it understands that comparison is a game no one ever truly wins. Every person has a unique journey, unique gifts, and unique challenges. The moment you begin measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel, you stop appreciating the purpose that's unfolding in your own life. Someone will always have more money, more beauty, more recognition, or more followers. But none of those things determine your significance. Your significance comes from living according to your values, not someone else's expectations. One of the most powerful habits you can develop is keeping promises to yourself. It sounds simple, but it's life-changing. Every time you say you're going to wake up early, and you do it, you're building trust with yourself. Every time you commit to learning a new skill and remain consistent, you're strengthening your self-respect. Every time you choose honesty over convenience or discipline over comfort, you're proving to yourself that your word matters. Confidence isn't built by thinking positive thoughts. It's built through repeated evidence that you can rely on yourself. Small promises kept consistently become the foundation of unshakable self-belief. That's why people who possess genuine confidence often appear calm during difficult situations. They've already demonstrated to themselves, again and again, that they can overcome challenges. There will always be voices telling you who you should become. Society has opinions. Friends have expectations. Family may have dreams for your future. The world constantly offers definitions of success, beauty, and happiness. But if you spend your life trying to satisfy every voice around you, you'll eventually lose your own. The most beautiful woman isn't the one who receives the most attention. It's the one who knows exactly who she is, walks with quiet confidence, treats others with respect, and refuses to trade her identity for temporary approval. She understands that admiration can come and go, trends will always change, and public opinion is never permanent. But character remains. When you know your worth, rejection becomes redirection instead of devastation. Criticism becomes an opportunity to learn instead of a reason to quit. Success becomes something to enjoy instead of something you desperately need to prove your value. You stop asking the world, "Do you think I'm enough?" because you've already answered that question for yourself. And perhaps that's the greatest kind of beauty anyone can possess. Not a beauty that depends on being noticed, but a beauty rooted in self-respect, purpose, and unwavering confidence. Because the moment you stop chasing validation is the moment you become truly free. Kindness is one of the most misunderstood qualities in the world. Too often, people confuse it with weakness. They believe that if you're kind, people will take advantage of you. If you're compassionate, you'll be overlooked. If you're patient, you'll never get ahead. So many people choose to build walls around their hearts because they think strength comes from being tough. But the truth is exactly the opposite. It takes far more courage to remain kind in a world that often rewards selfishness than it does to become cold and distant. Think about the people who have made the biggest difference in your life. Chances are you don't remember them because they were the richest or the most powerful. You remember them because of how they made you feel. Perhaps it was a teacher who believed in you before you believed in yourself. Maybe it was a friend who stayed beside you during one of the hardest seasons of your life. Or maybe it was someone who showed you respect when everyone else ignored you. Years may have passed, but their kindness remains alive in your memory. That is the incredible power of kindness. It leaves a mark that success alone never can. The strongest people understand something that insecure people often miss. They know they don't need to make others feel small in order to feel important. Insecure people criticize because they need comparison. Confident people encourage because they understand there is enough room for everyone to grow. When you truly know your worth, you stop competing with every person you meet. Instead, you begin looking for ways to help them become better. Kindness is not about pleasing everyone. It doesn't mean saying yes to every request or allowing people to disrespect you. Genuine kindness includes honesty. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is tell someone the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes kindness means setting healthy boundaries, because allowing destructive behavior to continue doesn't help anyone. There is a difference between being nice and being kind. Being nice is often motivated by the desire to avoid conflict. Being kind is motivated by the desire to do what is right. Nice people may stay silent when someone is making a mistake because they don't want to upset them. Kind people have the courage to speak with love because they care about the person's future more than the temporary discomfort of the conversation. This is why kindness requires strength. It's easy to smile when everything is going well. It's much harder to remain respectful when someone has hurt you. It's easy to encourage people who already believe in you. It's much harder to support someone who cannot offer you anything in return. Real character appears not when life is easy, but when life gives you every reason to become bitter. Every day presents a choice. Someone may speak harshly to you. Someone may underestimate you. Someone may disappoint you. In those moments, you can either pass the pain forward or stop it with you. Hurt people often hurt people, but healed people heal people. The cycle changes when one person decides not to respond with anger, but with wisdom. Consider the ripple effect of a single act of kindness. A genuine compliment may give someone confidence they were about to lose. A few minutes spent listening without judgment may help someone carry a burden they'd has been hiding for months. A simple expression of gratitude may remind someone that their efforts matter. You may never fully understand how deeply your actions affect another person's life. The world often celebrates dramatic achievements, but life is usually changed through ordinary moments repeated consistently. Holding a door open, saying thank you, speaking respectfully to someone whose job is often overlooked, remembering someone's name, offering encouragement when someone feels invisible. These small actions seem insignificant, yet together they shape the culture of families, workplaces, friendships, and communities. One of the greatest signs of inner beauty is treating every person with dignity, regardless of their status. It is easy to be respectful to someone who can benefit your career or improve your reputation. The real test of character is how you treat people who have nothing to offer you. The server in a restaurant, the cleaner in an office, the cashier in a store, the stranger who crosses your path for only a few moments. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to show that you recognize the value of another human being. Kindness also transforms the person who gives it. When you focus on serving others instead of constantly seeking attention, your perspective changes. You spend less time worrying about whether people like you and more time asking how you can make someone's day a little better. Ironically, the people who make the greatest impact are rarely obsessed with making an impression. They simply choose, day after day, to leave every person a little more encouraged than they found them. Of course, kindness will not always be appreciated. There will be people who misunderstand your intentions. Some may mistake your patience for weakness. Others may fail to return the same generosity you offer them. But kindness was never meant to be a transaction. If you are kind only when you receive something in return, that isn't kindness, it is negotiation. True kindness is a reflection of your character, not a reaction to someone else's behavior. A woman who leads with kindness possesses a beauty that time cannot erase. Her appearance may change over the years, but her compassion, wisdom, patience, and generosity only grow stronger. People trust her because they know she speaks with sincerity. They respect her because she treats everyone with fairness. They remember her because she leaves every conversation brighter than she found it. In the end, people rarely remember every word you spoke or every achievement you earned. They remember how you made them feel. They remember whether your presence brought peace or pressure, encouragement or criticism, hope or fear. That is why kindness is not simply a habit, it is a legacy. And a woman who chooses kindness, not because it is easy, but because it is right, carries a kind of beauty that never fades and a strength that no circumstance can take away. Comfort is one of the most attractive things in life. It promises safety, predictability, and ease. It tells us to stay where we are because it's familiar. It whispers that tomorrow will be a better day to take a risk, to learn something new, or to pursue the dream we've been postponing. And before we realize it, weeks become months, months become years, and we find ourselves living a life that feels secure on the outside, but unfulfilled on the inside. Growth has a very different voice. It doesn't promise comfort. It promises transformation. It invites you to step into situations where you might fail, where you might feel uncertain, and where you may even question your own abilities. But every meaningful achievement begins in that uncomfortable place. The life you want exists on the other side of the fears you're willing to face. Think about a seed buried beneath the ground. If that seed could speak, it might describe its experience as uncomfortable. The darkness surrounds it. Pressure comes from every direction. The shell that once protected it begins to crack apart. From the outside, it might look as though the seed is breaking. But in reality, it is becoming what it was always meant to be. Sometimes growth feels exactly like that. What appears to be falling apart is actually the beginning of something greater. The most beautiful people are not those who have lived perfect lives. They are the ones who have allowed every challenge to shape them into wiser, stronger, and more compassionate human beings. Their beauty comes from experience, resilience, and the lessons they have chosen to embrace rather than avoid. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that growth ends when school ends. They stop reading books. They stop asking questions. They stop seeking new experiences. They become experts in routine, but beginners in curiosity. Yet the moment you stop learning is the moment you stop expanding your potential. The world continues to change every day. New ideas emerge. New technologies appear. New opportunities are created. Those who continue growing remain prepared for a future that others struggle to understand. A woman who chooses growth understands that every day offers an opportunity to become slightly better than yesterday. She doesn't compare herself to someone else's journey because she knows her greatest competition is the person she was last year. Instead of asking, "Am I better than them?" she asks, "Am I becoming the person I was created to become?" That single shift in perspective changes everything. Failure also begins to look different. Most people fear failure because they see it as proof that they are not good enough. But people committed to growth understand that failure is simply information. It reveals what worked, what didn't work, and what needs to improve. Every successful person has experienced disappointment, rejection, and setbacks. The difference is that they refuse to let those moments define them. Imagine a child learning to walk. No parent expects perfection on the first attempt. The child falls over and over again, yet every fall strengthens the muscles needed to stand. We celebrate the effort because we know the process matters more than the temporary failure. Somewhere along the way, adults forget this lesson. We become afraid of looking inexperienced. We avoid challenges because we don't want to appear imperfect. Yet mastery has never been the starting point. It has always been the result of consistent learning. Growth also requires humility. It means admitting that you don't know everything. It means listening more than speaking. It means accepting feedback without seeing it as a personal attack. Pride tells us we have nothing left to learn. Humility reminds us that every person we meet knows something we don't. When you approach life with curiosity instead of certainty, every conversation becomes an opportunity to grow. One of the most powerful habits you can develop is investing in your own mind. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to ideas that expand your perspective. Learn skills that prepare you for opportunities you haven't even imagined yet. Spend time with people who inspire you to become better instead of people who encourage you to stay comfortable. Your environment shapes your expectations, and your expectations shape your future. There will always be moments when growth feels slow. You may study for months without seeing immediate results. You may work hard while others seem to succeed more quickly. During those seasons, it's easy to become discouraged. But remember that the strongest trees spend years growing deep roots before anyone notices now. Their height, what develops beneath the surface, determines how high they can eventually rise. Personal growth is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming the fullest version of yourself. Every lesson learned, every fear faced, every mistake corrected, and every challenge overcome reveals another layer of your potential. You begin to discover strengths you never knew existed because difficult circumstances demanded that you use them. The remarkable thing about growth is that it influences every area of life. As your wisdom grows, your relationships improve. As your discipline grows, your confidence increases. As your understanding grows, your compassion deepens. External beauty may attract attention for a moment, but inner growth earns lasting respect because people recognize maturity, stability, and purpose when they see it. A woman who embraces growth carries herself differently. She doesn't pretend to have all the answers, but she is never afraid to keep learning. She doesn't fear change because she knows that every season has something valuable to teach her. She understands that challenges are not interruptions to her journey, they are part of the journey itself. In the end, beauty that depends only on appearance will fade with time. But the beauty created through wisdom, resilience, curiosity, and continuous growth becomes stronger with every passing year. Every book read, every lesson learned, every obstacle overcome, and every act of courage adds another layer to the person you are becoming. And that is the kind of beauty that no mirror can measure, no trend can replace, and no passage of time can ever take away. Integrity is one of those qualities that people rarely notice when it's present, but they immediately recognize when it's missing. It's not something you can wear or display like a badge. It doesn't demand attention or applause. Instead, it quietly shapes every decision you make, every promise you keep, and every relationship you build. In a world where appearances often matter more than character, integrity becomes one of the rarest forms of beauty a person can possess. Many people spend years trying to build the perfect image. They carefully choose what they post online, how they present themselves, and what they want others to believe about them. But image and integrity are not the same thing. An image is what people think you are. Integrity is who you are when no one is watching. One can be created in a moment. The other is built over a lifetime. Think about a bridge. From the outside, it may look impressive, but what truly determines its strength is the foundation beneath it. People can drive across it every day without thinking about the steel and concrete hidden underneath. Yet if that unseen foundation is weak, the entire structure eventually collapses. Character works the same way. Your success, your relationships, and your reputation all rest upon the invisible foundation of integrity. If that foundation is strong, you can withstand pressure. If it is weak, even small challenges begin to expose the cracks. A woman who lives with integrity understands that her values are not negotiable. She doesn't change her principles to fit the crowd or compromise her character simply because doing the right thing is difficult. She realizes that every decision, no matter how small, is shaping the person she is becoming. That's why she chooses honesty even when lying would be easier. She chooses fairness even when no one would notice the difference. She chooses responsibility instead of making excuses, because she knows that real strength comes from accountability. One of the greatest tests of integrity happens when nobody is keeping score. It's easy to act with honesty when everyone is watching. It's much harder when there are no cameras, no applause, and no immediate consequences. But that is exactly where character is formed. Every private decision eventually becomes part of your public life. The habits you build in silence determine the reputation you carry in the future. Trust is one of the most valuable gifts you can ever receive from another person. Yet trust cannot be demanded, purchased, or forced. It is earned slowly through consistency. People begin to trust you when your words match your actions. They believe your promises because you have demonstrated reliability over time. They feel safe sharing their thoughts because they know you will treat them with honesty and respect. Unfortunately, trust can be destroyed much faster than it is built. A single dishonest decision can erase years of credibility. That's why people of integrity don't ask themselves, "Can I get away with this?" They ask, "Is this consistent with the person I want to become?" That simple question changes everything because it shifts the focus from temporary gain to a transcendent, lasting character. Integrity also means being authentic. It means refusing to pretend to be someone you're not just to gain acceptance. Society often encourages people to wear masks, to hide their weaknesses, and to create a version of themselves that others will admire. But pretending is exhausting. Eventually, maintaining a false image becomes harder than simply being yourself. Authenticity doesn't mean sharing every detail of your life. Most people think winners are the ones who never detail of your life with the world. It means allowing your actions to reflect your true values instead of your desire for approval. But pretending is exhausting. A woman with integrity doesn't chase popularity by abandoning her principles. She understands that not everyone will agree with her, and she's comfortable with that. Her identity isn't built upon public opinion, but upon personal conviction. Another important part of integrity is taking responsibility for mistakes. No, everyone makes them. Everyone falls short. The difference lies in how we respond. Some people spend their lives blaming circumstances, criticizing others, or making excuses to protect their pride. But a person of integrity has the courage to say, "I was wrong." Those 4 words may be difficult to speak, but they demonstrate maturity far greater than any attempt to appear perfect. Ironically, admitting mistakes often increases respect rather than diminishing it. People don't expect perfection. They expect honesty. When someone takes ownership of their actions, apologizes sincerely, and works to make things right, they strengthen the trust that might otherwise have been lost. Accountability isn't a sign of weakness. It's evidence of confidence, because secure people don't need to protect an illusion of perfection. Living with integrity also requires consistency. Character isn't built through one heroic decision. It's built through hundreds of ordinary choices made every single day. Choosing kindness when you're tired. Keeping your word when it's inconvenient. Showing up on time because you respect other people's time. Speaking truthfully even when exaggeration would make a better story. These small decisions may seem insignificant, but together they create a life others can depend upon. The remarkable thing about integrity is that it creates peace. When your life is built on honesty, you don't have to remember which version of the truth you told. You don't live with the fear of being exposed because there is nothing to hide. You can walk confidently, knowing that your private life and your public life tell the same story. A woman who lives with integrity possesses a beauty that cannot be manufactured. She doesn't need constant validation because her confidence comes from knowing she is living according to her values. People respect her not because she is flawless, but because she is genuine. They trust her because her actions consistently reflect her words. They admire her because she remains true to herself even when it would be easier to compromise. In the end, appearance may capture someone's attention for a moment, but integrity captures their trust for a lifetime. Fashion trends will change, opinions will come and go, success may rise and fall, but character endures. A life built on integrity becomes a quiet example that inspires others to live with the same honesty, courage, and authenticity. And that kind of beauty grows stronger with every decision to do what is right, even when no one else is watching. One of the greatest misconceptions about peace is that it comes from a life without problems. People often believe that if they could just eliminate every challenge, avoid every conflict, or finally achieve every goal, then they would experience lasting happiness. But life has a way of reminding us that challenges never completely disappear. There will always be unexpected setbacks, difficult conversations, and moments of uncertainty. The difference is not whether problems exist. The difference is whether you allow those problems to control your inner world. A woman who protects her peace understands something that many people spend years learning. She realizes that peace is not something the world gives her. It is something she chooses to guard every single day. She knows that her energy, her time, and her emotional well-being are among her most valuable resources, and she refuses to hand them over carelessly. Think about a beautiful garden. It doesn't remain healthy by accident. The gardener waters it regularly, removes weeds before they spread, and protects it from anything that threatens its growth. If the weeds are ignored for too long, they eventually steal the nutrients from the flowers. Our minds work in much the same way. Negative influences, constant drama, unhealthy relationships, and endless comparison are like weeds. If left unchecked, they slowly crowd out gratitude, confidence, joy, and purpose. The challenge is that not every distraction looks dangerous at first. Some distractions come disguised as opportunities. Some relationships begin with excitement but slowly become emotionally exhausting. Some conversations appear harmless until they leave you carrying stress that was never yours to begin with. This is why wisdom is not just knowing what to pursue, it is also knowing what to walk away from. Many people struggle with saying no because they fear disappointing others. They worry that setting boundaries will make them seem selfish or unkind. But healthy boundaries are not walls designed to keep good people out. They are gates that allow the right people in while protecting you from what destroys your peace. Every meaningful relationship requires respect, and respect includes honoring each other's limits. Imagine trying to pour fresh water into a bucket filled with holes. No matter how much water you add, it continues to leak away. In the same way, you cannot build a peaceful life if you constantly give your energy to situations that drain you. You cannot expect to feel emotionally healthy while surrounding yourself with constant negativity. Sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is recognizing that not every battle deserves your attention. There is incredible strength in choosing not to react to everything. The world encourages immediate responses. Social media rewards outrage. Arguments spread faster than understanding. Opinions are shared before facts are considered. In that environment, remaining calm becomes a quiet form of leadership. A woman who protects her peace does not feel obligated to respond to every criticism or defend herself against every misunderstanding. She understands that silence is often more powerful than unnecessary conflict. This does not mean avoiding responsibility or pretending problems don't exist. It means learning the difference between problems you can solve and problems you must simply release. There are situations beyond your control. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control their choices or attitudes. But you can control your response. That choice determines whether someone else's negativity becomes your burden or simply passes by without taking root. Protecting your peace also means being intentional about the voices you allow into your life. Every book you read, every conversation you engage in, every piece of content you consume, and every friendship you maintain influences the way you think. Your mind becomes the environment in which your future decisions are made. If you constantly feed it fear, comparison, and criticism, those thoughts eventually shape your outlook. But if you fill it with wisdom, gratitude, hope, and purpose, your perspective begins to change. This is why successful people are often careful about their environment. They choose friendships that encourage growth rather than jealousy. They spend time with people who celebrate progress instead of constantly focusing on problems. They understand that attitudes are contagious. The people closest to you either pull you toward your purpose or quietly pull you away from it. Comparison is another thief of peace. In today's world, it has become easier than ever to compare your life with someone else's. Carefully edited highlights. You see vacations, promotions, celebrations, and achievements while rarely witnessing the struggles behind them. The result is that many people begin believing everyone else is living a better life. But comparison always creates dissatisfaction because it teaches you to measure your value against someone else's journey instead of appreciating your own. A woman who protects her peace celebrates the success of others without allowing it to diminish her own confidence. She understands that another person's victory is not evidence of her failure. Life is not a competition with a limited number of opportunities. Every individual has a different path, a different timeline, and a different purpose. When you embrace your own journey, comparison loses its power. Protecting your peace also requires learning the art of forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean pretending that painful experiences never happened. It does not excuse harmful behavior or remove accountability. Instead, forgiveness is choosing not to carry bitterness into your future. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy weight every day, believing it will somehow hurt the other person. In reality, it only exhausts the one carrying it. Letting go does not change the past, but it frees your future. There will always be people who misunderstand you. There will always be people who misunderstand you. There will be criticism you don't deserve and disappointments you never expected. But your peace should never depend upon everyone agreeing with you. True peace comes from living in alignment with your values, making wise decisions, and accepting that not everything is within your control. The most beautiful woman is not the one who lives without challenges. She is the one who remains steady in the middle of them. She protects her heart without becoming cold. She sets boundaries without becoming selfish. She walks away from unnecessary drama without carrying bitterness. She chooses gratitude over comparison, wisdom over reaction, and purpose over distraction. That quiet confidence becomes visible in the way she speaks, the way she treats others, and the calm presence she brings into every room. In the end, peace is not a reward waiting for you at the end of life. It is a daily decision. Every choice to protect your mind, guard your heart, value your time, and remain faithful to your purpose strengthens the foundation of a truly beautiful life. And when a woman learns to protect her peace, she discovers a kind of beauty that no amount of external success could ever replace. Many people spend their lives asking a single question: how can I become successful? It sounds like a good question, but there is a deeper question that often leads to a more meaningful life. How can I make someone else's life better? The difference between those two questions changes the way a person sees the world. One is focused mainly on achievement, the other is focused on impact. And the truth is, the people who leave the strongest legacy are rarely the ones who only chased attention. They are the ones who chose to serve. Think about the individuals you admire most. Chances are, you admire them not only because of what they accomplished, but because of how they used their gifts to help others. A great teacher does more than deliver information. They awaken confidence in students who were ready to give up. A great leader does more than give orders. They create an environment where people feel valued and capable. A great friend does more than share good times. They show up when life becomes difficult. Service is what transforms talent into significance. A woman who inspires others through service understands that her life is not measured only by what she gains, but also by what she gives. She recognizes that every person she meets is carrying battles she may never see. Some people are struggling with self-doubt. Some are grieving quietly. Some are working hard while feeling invisible. In a world where many people are fighting unseen battles, kindness and encouragement become powerful forms of service. The beautiful thing about service is that it does not require wealth, fame, or a perfect life. You do not need a large platform to make a difference. Sometimes the most meaningful impact comes through small, consistent actions. Listening when someone needs to talk. Encouraging a coworker who feels discouraged. Mentoring a younger person who is searching for direction. Offering help without being asked. Celebrating someone else's success without jealousy. These moments may seem ordinary, but they often become unforgettable to the person receiving them. One of the greatest misconceptions about influence is that it belongs only to famous people. In reality, every person influences someone. Parents influence children. Friends influence friends. Colleagues influence coworkers. Even brief interactions can shape someone's day. A few words of encouragement can give a person the courage to keep going. A moment of genuine respect can restore dignity to someone who feels overlooked. You may never fully know the impact of your actions, but that does not make the impact any less real. Service also changes the person who serves. When life becomes centered only on personal recognition, people often become trapped in comparison and insecurity. They constantly wonder whether they are admired enough, successful enough, or appreciated enough. But when attention shifts toward helping others, something remarkable happens. The focus moves from, "Do people notice me?" to "How can I contribute?" And contribution creates a sense of purpose that applause alone can never provide. This is why many of the happiest and most fulfilled people are those who find ways to serve beyond themselves. They discover that meaning grows when it is shared. Success may satisfy for a moment, but purpose sustains for a lifetime. A promotion, an award, or public praise can feel exciting, but those feelings eventually fade. Knowing that your life helped someone else stand a little taller, dream a little bigger, or believe in themselves again, that creates a different kind of fulfillment. Service does not mean neglecting your own needs or allowing people to take advantage of you. Healthy service flows from a healthy person. A woman who inspires others through service understands the importance of caring for herself so that she has the strength to care for others. She gives from a place of purpose, not from a need for approval. Her generosity is not a performance, it is an expression of who she is. Another powerful aspect of service is that it multiplies. Encouragement is contagious. When someone feels supported, they are more likely to support others. When someone experiences kindness, they are more likely to show kindness. A single act of compassion can create a chain reaction that reaches people you may never meet. The world changes not only through grand gestures, but through ordinary people choosing, day after day, to make life a little better for those around them. Consider the difference between being impressive and being impactful. Many people can impress others for a moment. Fewer people improve the lives of others over time. Impressive people may be remembered for their achievements. Impactful people are remembered for how they made others feel and who they helped become. The second legacy is far more enduring. A truly beautiful woman understands that her value is not determined by how much attention she receives. It is revealed by how much light she brings into the lives of others. She uses her words to build, not destroy. She shares her knowledge instead of guarding it out of fear. She celebrates others instead of competing with everyone around her. She looks for opportunities to encourage, teach, support, and uplift because she knows that greatness is not about standing above people. It is about helping people rise. In the end, the question is not whether you will influence others. You already do. The question is what kind of influence you will leave behind. Years from now, people may forget many details about your appearance, your possessions, or even some of your accomplishments. But they will remember whether your presence brought hope or discouragement, peace or pressure, confidence or doubt. They will remember whether you made them feel seen, valued, and capable. And that is why service is such a powerful form of beauty. It turns success into significance, talent into impact, and ordinary moments into lasting memories. A woman who chooses to inspire others through service leaves more than an impression. She leaves a legacy.